Okay, so in example 3, we're talking about our most basic functions, right? The most basic function is a constant. We have two constants, 0 and 1, right? We don't even think of them as a function. From a mathematical perspective, we have to call it a function. But it just is, right? 0 is 0, 1 is 1. That's our most basic those are our most basic functions, our two constant functions. The two other single operator functions, that is, there's one input, right, are the identity function and the negation, right? So the identity function, we'll call it f of p, where p exists inside our binary set, right? Keeps moving. The identity function is just, let's draw this out with a domain and a range. So we have 0 and 1 as our domain, and 0 and 1 as our range. For the identity function, 0 maps to 0, 1 maps to 1. So you feed in a 0, you get out a 0. You feed in a 1, you get out a 1. For our negation function, let me give it. All right. For the negation, we have the same domain and range, 0, 1. But the negation maps to the opposite. So 0 maps to 1, and 1 maps to 0, right? What is that? That's your not, basically, right? That you've used a million times in your other programming classes. So when you negate something, you're just saying the opposite. This is that mathematically defined. Because once we define it mathematically, we can then we can start to use it inside more complicated discrete mathematical structures that we will in the ensuing examples. A couple more things. Instead of writing n of p for negation, typically we write the little tilde, the squiggly line, or sometimes you will see p with a line over it, right? All of those things mean the same thing. They all mean the negation, which means every time you get a 1, it becomes a 0. Every time you get a 0, that's all it means. We don't really have a fancy definition for the identity because you don't really need, it just is. So f of p is p, right? You don't need to do anything with that. Also, these are called unary operators, right? Unary because they act upon one input. Binary operators, you've seen binary operators your whole life. Whenever you see something that's like 7 plus 3, that's a binary operator because the plus operates on two different inputs. These are not an identity. Negation and identity is a unary operator because it operates on one input. The next example, we're going to start talking about binary operators. Oh, don't forget, if you have any questions, ask down below in the forum.